All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and welcome very much. Let me pop my camera on just to give a warm Northern Michigan welcome. I say warm because it is not warm up here. If you are from the Michigan area, it is rather cold. So, we're here to talk about our Prophecy IoT solution. I am going to use a deck that you will see symbols of the Sun Conference coming up. So, hopefully, you are able to make it out to the Sun Conference. We will be there showing off some hands-on features of prophecy, so you can engage with it there, as well as having a session to talk much about the future and what's coming along. So just so you know where I come from, I'm gonna turn my camera off as well, just to save a little bandwidth. So I've actually I live in northern Michigan, so above the 45th, but still below the bridge. So I'm what they call a troll. If you're from Michigan, you'll get that term. But also come with 15 years of operations management experience. A lot of that time was actually with lean manufacturing. So as we talk today, I will be kind of talking, referencing my time with lean methodology and how that actually plays very well into prophecy and how that can support your lean initiatives. I also know the Cloud Suite Industrial Sightline for 10 years. After implementing the solution, I was spent some time as scheduling manager, production, engineering, and IT. So been around the horn of the operations. So we'll talk through kind of how that all plays in as well to the entire solution. On a side note, just in case I go there, I do have some hobbies while up here. I do woodworking. That's a picture of the desk that I built for myself. Do like some music as well. And if you've ever been to Northern Michigan, you will know the hiking up here is phenomenal. So definitely, if you ever come up here in the summertime, it is gorgeous. So as we roll into today, I want to set us up with a question uh, that we want to talk through. That's what we call the manufacturing dilemma. So again, I've been a production manager on the shop floor, and I've encountered this myself. So operator clocks in, they walk in the morning at 8 a.m., and maybe they clock out at 3 p.m. So over that stretch of time, 7 hours passed. Now, as far as you may know, or the system may know, you don't know what actually happened in that 7 hours of time. There could be a lot of action. We want to capture that. So the reality could have been we spent some time in setup. Uh, we had a break, went over, talked to some other people, had maybe some tool breakage or downtime. Maintenance had to get in there. So really, out of that 7 hours, it was more like about half an hour of just some downtime, uh, hour and a half of some unplanned downtime. And so you really only maybe got 5 hours of true production. And as we know, losing those 2 hours, you can't get them back. So what we want to try to do here is let's get some answers around what was that downtime. Let's try to capture that when it occurs to have a much faster cycle. So I like to start out by referencing Dr. Deming. If you've been around operations management, you might know who he is. If those who are new to the realm, he has been a thought leader or was a thought leader in the operations realm. And one of his favorite sayings of his that I love is, "In God we trust, all others must bring data." So really, as we're talking through the shop floor, to really help enhance the decision-making process, uh, we want to provide that data, give you the tools to have it be an objective uh, um, um, process there. We also, as that leads into maybe some optimizing some resource allocation. How can we start capturing that downtime and moving forward? As a part of this, we want to make sure the employees are empowered. We want to give them the tools that they need to have a productive day, and that's going to give this some higher production and quality. So this is kind of a little bit of an agenda for today. As I dive into this, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chats. I'll pause every now and then to answer some questions as we move through this. Without further ado, let's kind of roll right into it. So as we're talking about IoT, that's Industrial Internet of Things, or IIoT, and the goal here is we want to connect everyone in the organization, whether this be a CEO looking at some high-level metrics to a VP of operations who's trying to figure out how to get more out of the shop floor, all the way down to the managers, looking for productivity and schedule completion, to maintenance teams looking at time on the various pieces of equipment, even to material handlers if we're waiting on materials. So all of that can be now interconnected, and this is a platform in which we do that. So we do support most, to a great extent, the equipment automation. What we want is the equipment to tell us what's going on. And with the way equipment is these days, they can tell us a lot of information. We can also then talk about the workers. How are the workers who are not connected? They're not left out. But we're going to focus today more on the equipment automation side. So when that equipment automation is giving us information, we want to capture that. So before we get too much further, let's actually look at the software itself and what is going on. So I've now pulled up my Cloud Suite Industrial environment, and this is in the cloud. So we have these wonderful home pages if you have these developed. And one of the ways in which Prophecy does surface can actually be a widget on your page. So up here, I actually have a Prophecy diagram. This is a live feed. We're actually able to see if there's a machine that's having issues. So right when you pull it up, you can get a quick look. How is everything going on the shop floor? That's one way in which it surfaces. We also are part of the OS tech stacks. We can now have a deeper experience within this environment. So at a top level, so we talked about, previous slide, we talked about the CEO or COO. One common metric that they're going to look at is overall equipment effectiveness. If you're unfamiliar with it, that's a factor of the availability, performance, and quality all working together. So we're able to live stream this data right from the shop floor and get this metric. And as we talk today, we actually will talk how do we address the availability, the performance, and the quality. All of that can be captured within this platform. Now, if the CEO or COO is looking at a high level metric, right, like this, and you're a production manager, you're going to want someone to help you out. Okay, I bet I'm a production manager. If I'm being measured, I want to have tools to help me do my job. So as we go down a level, so kind of looking at that was just the top level, we're going to go down to maybe what a production manager might have. This is actually a diagram that we put together for a customer, and we kind of put in our environment. This is actually a layout of the shop floor, so we can get a quick view as to what's going on. So we can see that some machines are down; those are flashing. Hey, we probably want to go do a little walk and find out what's the situation there. We have someone set up. You can see actually where scrap is popping up. We also have the ability to call supervisors. One of the things we want to do is, keep the operators being productive at the machines. So we're going to have all that available to your operators. Now, just like how the production manager would have this to really help them out, you might have the supervisors or line leads or even the teams themselves. Hey, can you get us on in the action as well? So the next view we have actually is just that. This is what I call our Andon 2.0. So if you have your Andon stack lights, very similar concept. We just take it to the next level. So not only are we actually able to see your color code, is it red, yellow, green, blue, all those translate over, but we get some context as to what's going on. Well, the first context is we're having some kind of a message coming from the machine. So in terms of a CNC4 over here, if we have vibration and chatter, you probably have scrap coming your way. So you're able to go take a look at it, see what's going on before things get out of hand. Now, also, we are tying this in right to the job order. This is one of the things that makes Prophecy a very unique solution is that we have this integration already built between Prophecy and Sightline Cloud Suite Industrial. So we're able to connect the dots. If you're in the cloud environment, we can now push this data to the data lake. You can now surface this in burst and run all kinds of analytics on it. It's a great way to fully leverage the entire cloud environment. But since we're also talking to Sightline, we got a couple other advantages here that aren't as common. First, we actually see right here. Well, since we're connected to Sightline, we can read the job quantities and the job run rates. We can actually tell when has something gone sideways. We have a runtime exceeded. Now, as I said earlier, I've been involved with Lean. I've done more 5 whys than I care to admit. But if I can do a 5 why at the time the error is occurring, it is so much easier, so much more effective to get to the root cause of the problem and have a real solution to it. With that in mind, as we do have downtimes, we do have issues, we do keep track of those. So that allows us to kind of create just a little dashboard for the entire screen. And so this is actually what one of those dashboards look like here. So we can actually see what's a status of the machine, kind of what's going on with the spindle load, maybe what's moving there. We also have a situation here where we have some history of our downtime. So in this case, broken tooling is actually our largest cause. So if you have a continuous improvement team or a Kaizen team, you want to give them some ability to address the problems. This is going to be your data that you need to kick off your event. You're going to be constantly tracking the data, see if you make an improvement. You can continually adjust. Uh, little academic point that is called the Deming cycle, due to the same man I referenced earlier. So that's your plan, do, check, act. We're just going to help you accelerate that and get more and more out of your equipment. Now, to also now engage the operators more, some examples of what we have for the operator level even. This is actually a screen that we have, again, we did this for a customer. This is just an example of it. We're getting a live feed of their various equipment features coming off it. So all of this is feeding in together for a singular kind of interface and way to look at things. So I'll pause for a moment. Stephanie, are there any questions right now in the chat?
There are not, and thank you for saying that. I was actually going to let people know that the Q&A is open. You can click on that and put your questions right in there, and we'll get to them as fast as we can. So thanks for that reminder, Kyle.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if we do get one here soon.
No problem. All right, so let's get back to that some of the things we're talking about here in terms of how we're actually connecting with the machines. Because this is now where we're going to get into the downtime feature. That's just, where we're going with this. So as we connect to the machines, there's a couple Prophecy is kind of acting as the bridge between many different elements. So, we have that. So we're connecting the machines. We're also connected right to Cloud Suite Industrial or Sightline. So right to the data, right to the application itself. We can connect in. We can pull data, we can push transactions, all that's part of it. But we also work very well with Factory Track. So if you're in a situation where you currently have Factory Track, Factory Track does a great job of leveraging some advanced labor calculations. But you want to talk about that, we can definitely link in with that. And as mentioned earlier, we also go out to the data lake. Beyond the application, we also get to your personal devices. So we're able to send emails through the solution, able to get to your text message, but we can even trigger Infor Go notifications. So if you're leveraging the workflows through Ion, going out to your app, all that's connected, but also feeding up into what we saw earlier with the interface boards, the andons, and other analytics. Behind the scenes on this, we do have a data collection engine. And this is really going to be taking all this data in a high volume and consolidating it, processing it for you, so that it's able to become more meaningful information. And now how we do this, a couple different methodologies. The first is connect to a PLC. That's the easiest way to understand what's going on. And these are a couple examples of the common platforms in which we work with. So very prevalent in the marketplace. This is not the exhaustive list. If you have one that's not listed here, please reach out and we can work with you as to kind of picturing what that would be. Now, we do have some situations where we cannot connect to the PLC, either by virtue of the machine being so old that it doesn't have a PLC, or some of the newer machines, you are not allowed to connect to them. We have had both situations. In that case, we connect an IO device and put sensors around it. This could be as straightforward as a voltage monitor. We actually have a customer where we weren't able to plug into the machine due to technology around it. So we just put an amp clamp on it. And that gives us a remarkable amount of information. We could tell when the machine was in startup mode, when it was running, when it was cooling down, or when it was idle. All those critical things that we want to capture. The other thing we can do is also the stack light. So we have a little stack light right there. You can see that. And let me actually do a bigger picture of this. There's one very quick time to value approach that we embrace is actually using this light bar. So if you currently have machines with a stack light, what we're able to do is we'll just zip tie that right onto it. We're able to track the status of the machine right from what that is. Now, based on what the stack light is doing, we can now turn those into codes. Is the machine running? Is it not running? Is there something going sideways on the machine, or is it set up? All those are common messages being sent through that, and we can interpret those right into the solution. What happens as a result of that is we get a track of uptime and downtime. So we have this downtime ribbon here where we have all these different codes here. We know that what the status of the machine is, and then we have methodology to actually classify them. We can say, hey, this was down for broken tooling or some other reason code. This can be surfaced right in your environment. So let's actually see this in action here. Let me pull back up my Cloud Suite here, and we actually have a downtime ribbon. So you can actually fetch it based on a date, based on a machine. So there's multiple machines out there. So I've had a machine simulation in the background, and we have a couple downtime. And it's really as easy as just clicking on it, and then you can drop down with what code you may want. So you can set these up. You can tailor them to your exact needs and what may be going on with this. So I'll just say this is a maintenance related issue. That's now going to code this. It's going to update your data tracking so you know what all was going on. This can be an end of the shift thing where a supervisor and operator both would have access based on permissions to what's going on. Now, if you're wondering, hey, how does this all get consolidated? Now we do have anything from a very we can get some base level metrics where I'm going to go out and grab. So I have things such as, it's my down hours versus my run hours. What are my different reason codes? We can also do a more deep drill down perspective where you're going to have some more of a dashboard. You can actually go through, do some filtering, set some time ranges, and really get into the depth of the numbers. So whether you just want a high level view or do some deeper analysis, this is all supported in here with the entire environment. Another good spot to just take a quick little breath. Annie?
Yeah, there is a good question. We have a
Fantastic.
question. Yes, I knew you would like that. It says, what, if any, ML/AI algorithms does the system utilize for data analysis and predictive monitoring or troubleshooting?
That is a fantastic question. So, as Infor has been rolling out their AI tool set, we've been talking with them, and we have a couple of use cases we've been kicking around, and we're working with them actually on a solution whereby we can track the uh, the machine data using ML to pick up when there could be a more of a true predictive maintenance. Let me give an example of the load on a spindle head. You know, over time, you're going to get more load based on your tooling sharpness. So you kind of get a little flag when that's going to go. But over time, you're going to get a trend that's going to be slowly, the load's going to take more and more. That's sometimes a result of a bearing going bad. So through the ML engine, what we're kind of working with Infor on is having a method where we can actually tell can we predict a failure going in the future? And then what will happen then is we can use the rest of the tool set within the Infor ecosystem to trigger things such as an incident and a service order, get all that kicked off. So that's just a concept that has been embraced and a great use of the new of Infor's AI platform as that is being rolled out. I will say from another perspective, if you want to know more about that, I'm sure that will be a very big topic at Sun this year. So I think it's going to be a fantastic conference. Great question. I like the whole AI ML thing. It's a very fascinating topic. All right. So we've kind of talked about kind of the high level how we can see things, kind of how we can kind of capture some of this data at a very basic level. Let's now talk about how we can really ratchet this up to higher levels of automation. So what I'm going to bring up now, this is actually a simulation that we have. So if you've seen this presentation before, we've had a couple little tweaks to it, but I got this started in a setup mode. So when we actually create an operator interface, there's a design tool within the solution, but we try to make a single screen experience. Operators are very hard to come by these days. Training needs to happen in hours, not days. So the idea here is that we have a screen that is very intuitive, and we can tailor this to your exact needs. So we have big buttons up top where we have a start setup. I clicked this earlier. Uh, I'm now going to click it into start run. This is actually going to conduct a couple things for us. One is I have my start time or my setup time, which had been tabulating before, just got pushed over as a setup transaction. One of the big challenges I've encountered in the past is differentiating setup time versus runtime. It was just too easy just to group them all together. But as we want to make improvements, having that differentiation is there. We're providing an easy method for your operators to differentiate their time. Now you have those stats, you can drive into setup reduction activities and really gain traction there. Now, we're also going out to the quality management side of things. Now, one thing on that, in this example here, we have a setup that every 5 parts, we need to do a check. So how we can actually do that check, we can surface anything from the measurements that are required by the scene, or we can even have a link to a drawing. This is where we can actually get some kind of a quality metric here. In this case, what I'm actually looking for is 20 plus minus 10%. So, 20, 21, 19 would all work. I'm just going to enter an acceptable part right now. Now, as we're talking about quality, that is one thing where we've actually made some advancements since past presentations. One of which is this is another diagram that we put together for customer, and we're actually pulling right from the each test in the quality module. So if you're looking at the quality, you want the operators to be able to write at the machine, track it. This is what we have here. So I've loaded up a test, pulling in the minimum maximum from that actual quality test, looking at the expected gauges, but we can also say what's the actual gauges. So there's possibilities here as well that if you want to have some kind of a checking to make sure the gauge is actually in calibration, all of that's possible. Then we'll just send this off to actually have that test recorded. So that's something where we can fully embrace a shop floor and give them all the tools that they need in which to operate. So while we're looking at that, I came to my next break for equality. And I'm just going to enter something out of spec here. Hey, we have some of that vibration chatter. We went out of spec. As we've gone out of spec, it's going to do a couple things for us. One is it's going to now, hey, we are now in a quality. We're going to log a scrap. Now we can pull right from your Sightline CSI issue or reason codes list for scrap. I'll just call this an equipment issue for right now. We are set up with bartender as well. So if you want to print out a QC tag or a red tag, whatever your process may be, I'm just going to submit the scrap. And this is now going to send off that transaction. We can also send out alerts and codes, all kinds of options here that we may run into. Now, also, as we are working with the machine, we're going to be sensing that when something could be possibly going wrong. So right now, my pump pressure right here, this is now going in the very wrong direction, flagging red. It's not there yet, but boom, my machine just shut down. Now, when this does happen, again, operators, when they have a machine downtime, the most effective way is now if help comes to them. And that happens in a couple ways. First of all, in terms of email, we actually do get emails being sent out. So you can actually get an email, hey, we have an issue, please come help. Just an example of what that looks like. I should be getting a slew of emails there, which we're working on. The other thing that we have is it goes out to maybe a dashboard. So we have if I go back to kind of one of these dashboards here, we have machine health and maintenance. This is kind of would be a maintenance solution they can see. And actually here is my pump pressure right at 2:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I actually now have an alert. This is giving everyone the communication that we have a problem. Please come help. So back here, once the maintenance team gets back to the machine, they can go into maintenance mode. We have a couple things we've done. One is that we can actually trigger an incident. So if you're using the service module for preventative maintenance, you want to kind of log an incident in the machine, what's going on, we can do just that. We can drive right into a service order. We can even trigger a shift exception because now that we've lost some downtime, our schedule needs to be recalculated. So all of that are things that we can do automatically through prophecy. So let's say the main team came over. Yep, we're going to just look at machine failure, and now the team's gotten up and running. We should see that PSI be coming back down here shortly. Yep, there it is. And we'll just continue on with the process. So all that got pushed can get pushed through to Cloud Suites and all that data tracked for you. The great thing here is it's the path of least resistance for the operators. It's not trying to remember things. We're actually embedding the best practice process right into the flow of this diagram. And as we move on, we'll be able to enter additional quality information that will keep reminding us of that. Eventually, when this is all said and done, what it will lead to is on the uh, back in your overall sightline, we'll actually be able to see the transactions. Here's actually some transactions when I tested this earlier today that I have at my setup transaction that I did. We have that one for the machine issue, that the same kind of that reason I got pushed through for scrap. And I also have my overall runtime transaction that will then push the product into the correct location. So all that's part of the experience here to really, make it easy for the operators to be productive, but also ensure that your data gets fully collected. All right, I saw a couple little things for questions. Is there anything else to address right now?
Yes, Mr. Eagle Eye, you did see some questions. There are two, and they're both really good. One of them is it's a two-part question. Are all of these views custom developed for customers, or are they out of the box? And do you have a relative cost structure for creating a custom view dashboard?
Yeah. So there is some out of the box, but this all definitely customizable. One of our approaches is that when we help you install, we train you how to do this. That's a critical thing. This is not where we don't like to take the approach we have to come to us every time. We actually train you. So there's a tool set. Uh, it is very similar to Mongoose, just kind of tailored for the IoT infrastructure that we have. But it's very easy for you to develop your own, write that, and then we can give you some starter stuff to work off as well. Hopefully
All right.
that was sufficient.
Excellent. All right. And then this next question, are there any features that aid in or assist in updating, revising production scheduling based off the real-time data? For example, does this program have the ability to automate best case production schedules using
Mm,
job-specific information, including quality data?
yeah. Yeah. So as you know, working with the cloud suite sightline environments and working with this, you can really only have one master. So the way we've architected this right now is we can feed an incredible amount of information back into the prime into sightline, and then we can also trigger things. So such as, hey, if we put a shift exception in there, so machines down, here's a shift exception. Based on all the things that have been posted, we can even trigger a rerun of the scheduling processor, and that would resequence it. But that's allowing you to keep the great functionality in Sightline, but not try to put two cooks in the kitchen, as I call
Excellent. Thank you for that.
it. Okay.
Looks like that is all for now.
Okay. So let's take a look at a couple other operator interfaces. So these are just some of the things that we've actually done for customers. So one is we have a role forming process. So this is where we actually had two operators we'd want to log in. I believe we did some validation there that one operator at least had to be a senior operator. So that way you didn't have just someone who was not quite comfortable on the machine running it. We are also able to scan in the coil lot numbers so that as we do material transactions through here, we can make sure we're tracking the actual coil right at the point of use. Able to tag scrap as well, but also see their production list. Here's another example of one that we've done. This is more of a press where we kind of have the setup, start and stop. One thing that was unique here, though, is that whenever there was a scrap transaction, rather than immediately pushing that to the unposted job transactions, this one actually went through a supervisor validation. So we actually have the ability in that case to pause a transaction such as that and have a supervisor validate it. We ask operators to be very detail oriented. Bless their hearts. They sometimes take that to heart and have a tougher eye than our quality departments. So we want to make sure that things are true to the spec and we support the operators even in that way. Notice when we did see this one a little bit earlier, where we actually have a machine where we're pulling all that live data. This is just more where we can see where it's running, see our production versus idle. And then even things such as injection molding, where we're going to be measuring resin as it's going in and using maybe the weights of the resin off the scale to do an actual consumption rather than a backflush and a variance. So all those are kind of some of the things we're able to do, some of the different use cases surrounding all of that. As this is being surfaced back up to you and your team, just a review of some of the use cases that we may have here. So we're going to get all this information on the runtime, maintenance schedules, uptime, downtime uh, in many of those regards. We're going to get also a number of metrics. So some key performance indicators that we'll see coming out, particularly around, we'll get some job to shift time. Since we're doing all this data collecting, uh, we sometimes talk about overall equipment effectiveness, but we can also get to overall labor effectiveness. Are our team members being fully utilized? Are they able to be productive? I know operators love it, actually like going home feeling like they had a good day, whether they say it or not. Uh, that is a morale boost to them. So if they're able to see how they're doing, address why they're not, a key pickup for them. We're also able to kind of get a clear view as to like our overall output. Are we being effective between the uptime, downtime, but also getting through the parts per day? All that's there, as well as that scrap transactions. So it's really these are some of the components to come back to overall equipment effectiveness that we are very much trying to help you take a look at. Now, you might be saying, hey, wow, Kyle, this is great and all. How do we make this happen? Because this is a lot. Well, the good news is kind of that we've been working with this. We kind of have found out that there is an implementation approach. But before you can even start implementation, you sometimes have to answer a question: what is going to be my ROI on this? So out there, you have this little web page that is out there for everyone, and this is an ROI calculator for you. So you can go out there, you can play with this if you want to. Let's just maybe kind of play a little bit here, just get an idea. So let's say we're going to be a 4-day or 5 days a week and 8 hours a day. So kind of a basic one shift operation there. You can set your billing rate for your CNC machines or whatever they might be. How many machines? I was just at a shop last week where they had 30, so I'll kind of go with 30 machines. It's a good number. Now, in terms of your increase of utilization, 20% is not unheard of, but let's just be much more conservative. Let's go 5. So even at these basic stats here, you're looking at a capacity increase of $300,000. Looking at an additional 60 hours on your machines per week. Also, an ROI of 51 days, it looks like. So you're getting very quick on some of the costs you're going to be putting into this. So this is out there. If you need help with this, definitely contact us and we can help you look through some of the value benefits here. So the way we have learned to do this, just kind of give some peace of mind, is the phase 1, as we encountered, we call it fundamentals. So as we roll this out, what we like to do is first, let's get connected to the machines. So we're actually getting that base, are the machine up, is the machine down? What's going on there? And this is where we can leverage that downtime ribbon we saw. So you'll have that where you can now classify your downtime, and this is a very quick time to value approach. Uh, we can get an implementation with this up and running in as little as 2 months. So that's a very fast time to value. Now, phase two, after that initial 2 months, we can start looking at that rich data. So, hey, now that we're connected to the machines, we got the infrastructure in place. Let's start getting all that information. Let's start watching how are our machines behaving? Can we identify any issues in which we want to address? And the last stage that we get to is where we have that full automation. We're capturing the OEE, the ERP data. We have the operator interfaces where they're able to see everything that they need to see with all of that. And then a more of a fuller context, even of the manual processes, where we have the material tracking uh, embedded if need be, machine use for preventative maintenance, and the operator prompting for the best practice approach. So that is kind of the journey that kind of we've taken people on with prophecy. Uh, I thought I saw my computer flash me again. There might be another question out there.
Yes, you did. There are actually two more questions, but the first question is going to answer the second. So I'll tell you the second one first. That one is, does it work with both on-premise or cloud?
Yes, so this actually works with both. So if you're in cloud, fantastic, we can work with that. If you are on premise, we also work with on premise. Uh, we just work through the API connection. So I believe starting at 900 is when the APIs came into place. So that's what we can leverage for those on-premise solutions.
Awesome. And then the first question that had come in was, can you tell us approximately how many customers are using Prophecy?
Yes. So I don't have the exact number. I think it's in the 20 plus, and it is growing every quarter. So we actually just had someone sign. They're in the process of implementing Cloud Suite with us right now. And they actually came back and said, you know what, we really need to understand the shop floor. We did a quick little revise with them and added them in, and they are loving it. We have some other customers. Uh, Now, I'm being very protective of names, just we respect our customers where um, they're on step one or step two, and a couple are even on step three. One such customer who's been using us for quite a while, just give a little anecdotal story. Um, their big problem was they were getting material variances. So I believe, actually, just for a talking point, uh, this was their screen. So we're actually dealing with some blends here. So end of the day, as they had the plastic blends, they were having a six-figure variance on the plastics every month. Of course, that means we were probably using more resin than we were intending to. What that led us to then is, as we were kind of doing the expected versus actual blending there, we're actually able to account for that six-figure variance, properly attribute it to the job orders for proper costing, and have since resolved that. So that's kind of some of the examples there. But more and more are adopting it, more and more are seeing value, and it is uh, definitely getting some traction across the ecosystem.
Sure. And I can actually add something to that as well. We, on our website, prophecyiot.com, under resources, we have a page for testimonials. And there are several there now. And I'm actually getting ready to add a couple of more. I'm working on finalizing them now. So they should be up in the next couple of days.
All right.
So that's actually a good thing. And then Kyle, you had two other questions come in. Do we have time for
Yeah.
those?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. One is, what is the typical time between first machine connected to a fully implemented solution that is actively driving CI initiatives and
Mhm.
active operational management?
Yeah, that's and really that depends on your pace. So I talked about the three phases. Each phase typically is 2 months at a time, and they can be right in sequence if you need be. A lot of as I've been on the shop floor, you definitely want to take advantage of it as soon as possible, but sometimes you have to walk the balance of what do I do today, or getting product out the door today versus making it better for tomorrow. So, um, and we walk at whatever pace that you want to walk at, should say. So, as little as 6 months, typically we're looking at more of a year to year and a half time frame, based on the company's each company's ability to commit to the project.
Excellent.
And
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
oh, so I pulled up the Q&A myself. So,
Okay.
so then I also see one where what's the primary differentiators from Prophecy versus its competition, e.g., machine metrics? And that's another great question. So I haven't seen all the numbers. From what I have heard, it's somewhat cost competitive. Um, that we have a price point that's often pretty good. Now we are on what I call in for paper. So although we are kind of the authors, Infor has actually fully adopted this. Uh, so when you sign up for licensing, you'll get it through Infor, and that means if you have a problem, you just go right to Infor. We work with them. So as it's, I think as the phrase I've heard is, there's only one throat to choke, and that we are all together there. Um, the other main difference I'll point out is that we have that pre-built integration with Cloud Suite Industrial. So if you're going with someone else, they're going to have to build out that integration. And we can already now set this up where we can connect, here's the job order to the machine. So you don't have, so there's a cost there if you were to go somewhere else that doesn't have that framework already preset. All right. Was there another question
Excellent.
up top I thought I saw, or was that one already answered?
Yep, it was answered.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I think this is a good length for a webinar. Everyone is definitely busy. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have some deeper conversations, understand your precise needs and challenges, and what we can do to work together to overcome those. Also, if you are going to again, I will put in the last pitch for the Sun Conference. If you are going to be there, please stop by the booth. We have an experience that we've put together to really help understand some of the power and benefits surrounding the solution. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your time this afternoon, and I hope to meet all of you in person at Sun.